Hi everyone, welcome to my nookery. This is where I actually sit and knit and crochet, and today I have a knitted blanket tutorial. It's made with 4-weight yarn, guys, and I've called it Squares and Pearls. And what I'll do is, before I go on to the tutorial, I'll do a little video of the blanket so you can see it. Well, it's more like an Afghan. It's just something that you throw over yourself while you're watching television, you're knitting and you're crocheting. It's just something to keep you warm. So if you can cast on, if you can bind off, if you can knit, and if you can purl, this blanket is ideal for newbies as well as experienced knitters like myself. And I hope if you are a new knitter that you will think about making this, and if you do make it, please hashtag doingalinda and let me see it, and I'd be chuffed to bits if you did that for me. So this is the Afghan. I keep calling it a blanket, it's not, it's an Afghan. So this is an Afghan, and it measures, if I'm not mistaken, it measures 44 wide, and I think it's 50 inches long, but you can keep knitting it as long as you want. If you want it wider, the pattern is, I tell you all about the measurements at the beginning of the tutorial. I used no I didn't, I used the Aran fashion from King Cole, it is King Cole, and I used 533 grams. I had two 400 gram skeins of this yarn, which is a 4-weight, and so I've got quite a bit left there, guys, and I'm going to start and make hats for the homeless. I think, you know, I make hats for the homeless, so I think I'm going to make some more hats for the homeless with this. Yeah, so I only used 533 grams, so there's 177 grams left in this skein. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little short video of the blanket so you can see what you were aiming for, and then it'll follow on with the tutorial. So this is the blanket we're going to be the tutorial's all about, guys, and as you can see, it's a combination of knits and purls to create the squares and pearls. I've done 6 rows of garter stitch, which is just all knit, and on the end of every on both ends you knit 3 stitches, whether you're on a purl row or a knit row. And then at the top I've finished off, so I'm just going to go slowly so you can finish. I've finished off with the 3, and the pattern is multiples of 24, because each square is 12 stitches, so you do 12 knits, 12 purls, and at the end of every row you knit, and at the beginning of every row you knit to get this nice edging so it doesn't curl. So yeah, guys, that is the blanket tutorial. I hope you enjoy, and as I always say, guys, if you've got any queries, just email me. Welcome everyone. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually make I've called it the square purl blanket, and it's a combination of knit stitches and purl stitches, and it's a very easy pattern. You're going to have to cast on 186 stitches, and then the first knit the first 6 rows, and then we go into a 12-row pattern repeat. It's very easy, guys. What you're going to need is a 4-weight yarn. Here in the UK I'm using Aran, and this is from King Cole, and it's 120 it's called Natural, and it's 70% acrylic, 30% wool, and there's 880 yards, 800 meters, and this is a big 400 grams, and I've got 2 of these guys. So as you can see, I've taken the middle out. You're also going to need a set of circular needles. Doesn't matter how long the cord is, as long as it's long enough to hold all your stitches. And I'm using a 6mm. The yarn says to use a 5mm, which is a US 7, and but I kind of not a tight knitter, but my knitting is tight. So let me see if I can find the beginning of this yarn, which I've got a yarn bath. So yeah, so depending on how loose you knit, there we go, I've found it. Depending on how loose you knit, you can cast on whichever way is your preferred cast on. You could do long tail cast on, you could do the German cast on, your thumb cast on, but where I prefer the cable cast on. It's called the cable cast on, and I've shown you before in previous tutorials, but I will show you again. And so let's start. So what we do is we create, so what I've done is I've crossed the yarn, and then what I do is I just put my knitting needle through, bring the wool through, and I've created a loop, and you just pull, and you've got a nice tail for weaving in at the end. So I'll do that once again. So I'll get a hold of the yarn, wrap it around my fingers, I get my needle, wrap it over again, get my needle under, over, pull through, and there we go. So now we're going to cast on. So this is stitch number 1. Now this that's got me notes in, guys, my little pad with my notes, so just move that out the way. So what you need to do, I always put the tail, I hold the tail across the needle so I don't accidentally knit that and try and get 186 stitches with that. So you go through the needle, you put your right hand needle through the stitch on the left hand needle, and it's like a cross. You bring a yarn round, pull through, swing to the right, and that's how you do the first stitch. I'll do it again. So in, round, through, swing to the left, and put it onto your left needle. And then what we're going to do, the next stitch is we're going to go between the first stitch and the second stitch you've made. We're going to go through, and so you've got 2 stitches either side of the needle. So it's in, round, through, swing to the right, put your left needle in between, and you've created stitch number 3. I'll show you it again. So it's, whoops, come on, in, round, through, and onto the left needle. So what you're doing is you're making the stitch by going through between the 2 stitches. Okay, I've done it a bit too tight, hold on, done it a bit too tight. Need it loose, guys, not too tight, so you can get the needle in, round, through, swing to the left, to the right, bring the left needle through the stitch you've just made here on this stitch. Can you see? You got 2 legs. You bring your needle through those 2 legs and pull this needle, your right needle out, and you've got 5 stitches. So I'll just, so I have kind of, my little ditto is in, round, through, swing to the right, bring your left needle through the legs, and put this stitch from the right hand needle onto the left one. So it's in, round, through, swing, in, on, in, round, through, swing, in, on, in, round, through, swing, in and on to your left. So I am going to go away and I am going to cast on 186 stitches. The pattern is a 12 stitches plus 6, and you need 3 stitches either side to do the knit, and I'll show you what I mean as we get further on up the pattern. So yeah guys, so that's all you've got to do: in, round, through, swing, in, on, in, round, through, swing, in, on. There we go. So I will go away and cast on my 186 stitches, and I'll be back when I've got all my 186 stitches on. Okay, so I've got 186 stitches and the pattern is multiples of 12 plus 6, because at the beginning and at the end of every row you're going to knit. So every row you're going to knit, but for the first 6 rows guys, we're just going to go do 6 rows of garter stitch, which is all knit. And so what we need to do is now we're just going to knit all these, and all I say is in, round, through and off. So you're transferring all your knit stitches, all your cast on stitches now onto the other needle, and that's all you're going to do. Just continue knitting all the way for the next 6 rows. So it's in, round, through and off, in, round, through and off. It's the same principle whether you're an English thrower or you're a continental knitter, and by that I mean you hold your yarn in your, I can't do it, I've tried, but at the end of the day it doesn't really matter how you hold your needles, how you make your stitches, as long as you do 6 rows of knit. So I will see you when we have done our 6 rows guys. Okay, so now we've done our 6 rows of knit stitch, or garter stitch as we call it. The next row is going to be row 7, and what you need to do is, it's very easy guys, very easy. So what you're going to do is you're always going to knit, whether you're on a purl row or a knit row, you're always going to knit the first 3 stitches and the last 3 stitches. So I've done my 3 stitches, and the pattern is worked over 6 stitches. So it's 6 knit, no it's not, it's 12 knit, 12 purl, 12 knit, 12 purl. So we're going to do 12 knit stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And now we're going to do 12 purl stitches. So you're going to bring your yarn to the front of your needle, your right hand needle, and instead of putting, you're going to put your needle through the front of the stitch for your purl stitch. So you're going to go 1, so it's in, round, through and off. So that's 2, in, through the front, round, through and off onto the right hand needle. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And then you're going to put the yarn to the back of it and you're going to knit 12. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So as you can see, so what we're going to, in effect, we're going to be creating blocks. We're going to be creating squares. So we're going to have squares of knit and squares of purl stitches. That's why I've called it squares and purls Afghan. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So now I need to put my yarn forward. I'm going to purl the next 12 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in effect, you've got the bumps at the front for your pearls, and you've got your bumps at the back for the knit row, for the knit. So it's going to be double-sided. Right, so that's 12. So now we're going on to knit, and I want you to do that all the way to the last 3 stitches. So we've done the purl, so now we're going to do knit 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So if you continue doing that, so we're on a purl now, and just work your way all the way to the last 3 stitches, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so we've come to the last 3 stitches, and you're going to knit these 3 stitches. So every knit row you're going to knit the last 3 stitches. So how you can tell you're on the evens, so this was row 7, so that's an odd number. So this is going to be row 8, and all even numbers, the tail will be there if you've cast on like I have done. So now we're going on to row 8, and we're going to reverse what we did the previous row. So what we're going to do is we're going to knit those 3 stitches, because as I said, they're always, and what I'm going to do is, and it might be easy for you to do as well, just get a stitch marker and place it there so you're not counting your stitches all the time. So because I did a knit row on the previous row, I'm going to purl this, purl the first 12 stitches. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Yarn to the front because I'm going to knit the next 12 stitches, because on the previous row they were a purl. So but before I start knitting them, I'm going to place another marker and I'm going to knit, and it's just make it a lot easier for you guys, and it'll help you keep your stitches correct. So can you see? So there we go. So I've done the 12, knitted them 12. So I'm going to put my stitch marker, and after every 12 stitches, so the next lot is going to be purl. So I'll purl these now, get these purled. And this is just, I'm doing this all in one colour, guys, but you could use your scrap yarn after every 12 rows. You know, it's a good stash buster as well. It make it nice, but I've done this purposely, this colour, because I want it to go in my lounge. And so yeah, so I've come to the end of the 12 purl stitches. Purl, yeah, and I'm going to put my stitch marker. I put my yarn back to the front, to the back of the, and I'm going to knit my next 12. And so I'll meet you when we get to the end, to the last 3 stitches. Okay, guys. So just continuing on. So when you see the V's, that's when you knit. When you see the bumps here, that's where you're going to purl. So continue knitting, doing 12 knit stitches and then 12 purl stitches to the last 3 stitches on your knitting needle, and I'll meet you then. Okay, so I've put my last stitch marker in, and they were purl stitches, 12 purls. And now I'm going to knit the last 3. And the reason that we've done, let me just show you now. So the reason we've done the knit rows here, and we've got the 3 knit stitches at either end on the beginning of every row, beginning and end of every row, is it'll stop your blanket from curling. So they were rows 7 and 8. Now what you need to do now, guys, is you need to repeat those 7 and 8 5 more times, so you'll have 8. You should finish on the 18th row. And what I like to do is I like to, let me just get my pad. So what I like to do is I like to say, right, I need to do another rows 7 and 8. So that's 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now I've done rows 7 and 8, so I can tick them off. And I know 9 is going to be exactly the same as row 7. So again, we're going to knit 3, move my stitch marker across and knit 12. And I know it's a knit row, guys, because I've got the V's in the front, can you see? And when it's a purl, you've got the bumps. Can you see? So you've got the bumps when it's purl and it's smooth, like that. You've got the V's. And that's what you're going to do. Just continue on until you've reached row 18, and then I'll show you what you need to do for rows 19, 20 up to 30. So yeah, so that's it. It's a 12, well, there's 12 rows to each pattern, and you're going to alternate it, so you're going to end up with squares. You will see it as I go on. As I said, guys, this is once you've mastered what the pattern is all about, this is going to be something really easy to do while you're watching television, or you know, watching a movie and that. And especially if you've got your stitch, you know, your place markers, and that will denote, oh right, I've done them 12 knit or purls, and now I'm on to purl. Oh, now next it's knit, and I've actually missed one there, so I need to find another marker and put it there just to make sure. I don't think I've missed anywhere else, or have I? Yes, I've missed another one. Never mind. So I need to, yeah. So that's it really, guys. What you do is just remember at the end of the beginning and the end of every row, you knit the first 3 stitches, and then it's just a matter of knitting 12, purling 12 to match what you've done the previous row before. So I will see you back here once I've done all my 12 rows of knit 12, purl 12, and I'll show you the next 12 rows, how we go on to create the squares. So I'll see you in a while. Okay guys, so this is what it should look like now. So you've done your 18 rows, so you've done 6 rows of garter stitch, and you've done 12 rows of knit 12, purl 12, knit 12, purl row. And now we're going on to row 19. Now row 19 is going to be different. So what we're going to do is, where we've knitted, we're going to purl, and where we've purled, we're going to knit, and we're going to create boxes or squares, as I call it. So that's what we're going to do. So what you need to do is, let's see, so you, as always, you knit your first 3 stitches, slip your marker, and then you're going to purl 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now you're going to slip your marker onto your right hand needle, and now these, because they were purl, you're going to purl these rows, purl these next 12 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and that's what you're going to continue doing. So the next, slip your marker onto your right hand needle, the next one, yarn forward, and you're going to purl these 12 stitches, next 12 stitches. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Yarn to the back, place your marker off your left hand to your right hand needle, and then you're going to knit the next 12. And that is what you're going to do all the way across to the end, to the last three stitches, and you knit them. Okay, so I'll meet you back here when we've finished this row. So don't forget guys, you're going to do, when you're going to purl where you had your knit stitches, and you're going to knit where you had your purl stitches, and I'll see you at the other end for row 20. Okay guys, so we've come to the end of row 19 and I've knitted the last 3 stitches. So we're on row 20 now. And that's why I said it's a 24 row pattern repeat, but all it is, it's just changing the square where you want your stitches to create the squares. So let's start. So we knit 3, and then we're going to knit, because I've purled on the size row 19, on 20 I'm going to knit the first 12, I slip my marker, yarn to the front, and then I'm going to purl, because this was knit on the reverse side but it was purl on that side, so I want the purl on this side. Place my marker, and those markers will help guys. So we're just purling now. Purl these 12 stitches, and then you just follow that, knit 12, purl 12 until you get to the end, last 3 stitches, and you knit them. So there we go. So you can see how it's shaping up. So where it was purl before, we've got the knit, the texture of the knit stitch, and over the knit we've got the texture now of the purl stitch. And that's what you're going to do. So you're going to continue doing that until the end, not forgetting to knit the last 3 stitches. And I'll come back when I've done this row 20 and tell you what you need to do after that. Okay, so you can see it start taking shape now guys, can't you? So where the knit, you can now see the purl, and where it's knitted, where it was purled, you can see the knit stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish these. So you've got to now do another 10 rows. So it's 12 stitches by 12 rows, and I'll finish this this 12 row. I'll come back and show you what to do next, and then I'll knit further on, so I'll show you how it will look if I do further. But once I've done the 12 rows on this side, I will come back and tell you what you need to do for the next. But for those of you who are experienced knitters, all you've got to do really is this 24 row pattern. 12 rows, you start with a knit, 12, purl 12, knit 12 to the end, and then the following, after you've done the first 12 rows, on the next 12 rows you reverse it, so you start with a purl and you end with purl as well. So there should be an odd number of knit. There'll be more knit stitches than purl squares. Okay, so I'll see you at the end when I've done my 10 rows, and I'll come back and show you what to do next. So as you can see, I have finished now the set. So I've done 12 rows and 12 rows. So I've done the 24 rows, which is a pattern repeat. So as you can see, so the next row I'll go back to knitting 12 knits, then purl, then knit, then purl, and then on the next set of 12 I'll do purl, knit, purl. So you end up with this effect, guys. So the pattern is 24 repeat. Your stitches is 24. Let me just get my notes. Right, so it's 24 stitches plus 6. So if you wanted this blanket to be longer, or Afghan, you'd have to add another 24 stitches on. So this is 186, so you'd need to cast on another 24, so that you are going to, because it's going to look like a checkerboard. So you've got, you know, so these would be whites, these would be blacks. Just think of it as a checkerboard. And that's it. So just repeat the next 24 rows to the length that you want it. So I'm just going to continue on now, and I will see you at the end, guys. So as I say, this is just, you just repeat these 24 rows however many times to the length that you want your Afghan. And as you can see, mine is, it's on circular needle, so I can't really straighten it out, which is why I said you'd need circular needle. It's so easy, guys. If you can knit and purl, take your time. It's something you can sit and make while you are watching a movie, watching the football, whatever, guys, whatever, take, you know, but this is going to be really nice warm. You can, if you've only got, I mean, I've done it in one colour, as I said. You can use different colours for each set of 12. The sky's the limit. You can use the scraps. It's just something really, and if you're new to knitting, it's a good way, it's a good practice to help you with your tension, also help you to get used to purling as well as knitting. And I think this is going to look really lovely when it's done. So I'll see you when I've completed, when I come to the end, and I'll show you what to do for the last rows. Okay, guys, good luck, enjoy, and bye for now. Okay, so guys, we are on the last row. Well, I've done the last row, and to finish off, I've repeated exactly the same as what I've done at the beginning, which was 6 rows of garter, and I kept the 3 stitches. I've knitted 3 stitches on both ends, and it weighs, not weighs, it doesn't weigh at all. I've not weighed it. It measures actually 44 inches wide and 50 inches long, which is as long as I need it to be. What I've done is, as I said, guys, it's 12, I've called it squares and purls, and as you can see, it kind of looks like a checkerboard. And there's 20, it's a 24 stitch repeat all the way across. So if you wanted to make it wider, you would have to add another 24 stitches. And then what I've done is, so it's kind of a 24 row wrap pattern repeat. So you do 12 knits, 12 rows of knit, purl, knit, purl on the 12 stitches, and then on your second, the 13 to 24, you do where you've done the knit before on the row before. Don't know why the desk's shaking, because I'm not touching it. Then you do your purls and you alternate it, so it looks a bit like a checkerboard, as you can see. So what I've done, I have done 10 lots of 24, which gives me 20 rows, and I've finished on a 12 rows. So on the, you know, the 12 knitted rows. I'll explain it better when I can lay it out on the bed at the end of this tutorial video. So what we're going to do now, guys, is, as you can, don't lose me stitches. So it's quite long, and I'm so pleased with it. As I said, I've used a 4-weight yarn, Aran here in the UK, and there was 400 grams, 800 meters, 880 yards. So when I've finished this and I've binded off, which is why I'm showing you now, I'm showing you how to bind off, I will weigh this and then I can let you know how much I've used on my particular Afghan. So it's called the Squares and Purls Afghan. So to bind off, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to bind off. I'm sure some of you are there are many different ways of binding off, but this is my way to bind off my blanket or Afghan. So I knit the first stitch, I knit the second stitch, and then I put my left hand needle through the first stitch and carry it over, and I'm left with one stitch. Knit one stitch through the first stitch, carry it over, and I'm still left with one stitch. So you knit one stitch, you've got two stitches on your right hand needle, you put your left hand needle through the first stitch and you carry it over the stitch you just knitted. So I'll show you that again. In fact, I might make you come down a bit so you can see. I hope it doesn't phase out. So you knit one stitch, so you've got two stitches on your right hand needle. You take your left hand needle and you put it through the stitch on your needle, you carry it over, so you still got one stitch. So you go knit, past, knit, stitch over. So this is the stitch that is left. So then you're going to knit this stitch, which gives you two stitches. So this is stitch 1, this is stitch 2. You're going to pass number 1 over number 2, and as you can see, it gives you a nice edging, and that is just the way I do it. So all you've got to do now, guys, is just do it right to the end, and then weave in your ends and your Afghan is done. So I will at the end of the video I will show you, I will actually lay this out on my bed, even though it's not for my bed, it's for me to sit with while I'm watching a movie or whatever. But yeah, so I'm really, let me just put that stitch on there. So I'm really liking, that's why I do my bind off like that. It just looks so neat and it gives it a really nice finish, because then it replicates the beginning. So this is the cast on. I do the cable cast on, so it's really nice and neat, and that is why I do that, to finish off my Afghan. So I will see you when I've bounded off, and I will do a video. I will do a little video showing the blanket, the Afghan, laid out on my bed, and you can see for yourself what it looks like. This is going to be a really good, let me pan out a bit, not in, out, sorry guys. This is going to be a really good stash buster, or even advent as well, guys. It all depends what kind of advent. You could do this in a chunky, a 5-weight, you could do it in a 3-weight, you could even add a finger weight and a 3-weight together, and it'll make a nice, but it's up to you guys. And you know, you could do each 12 rows a different colour. I've done it in this colour, guys, so you can actually see the pattern, see what I'm doing. We'll have to see if I make it again and what will I do with it next time. So I'll see you at the end, and thank you for watching. I will come and speak to you at the end of the video anyway, but thank you for taking part in this tutorial. So guys, if you do the tutorial, I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, if you've got any queries, all you have to do is email me. My email is in the description box below or in my about page. And all I can say, guys, is enjoy. I really enjoyed knitting this. It's nice and warm, and it keep me warm during the winter months. So I'll speak to you again real soon. Take care, stay safe, but as I always say, guys, be kind to you. And until the next video, bye for now.